Okay, an update of the classic Ring Walks song playlist. I'm going to show you what's currently on the list because I have added some songs and also respond to some suggestions. So first of all, the actual list itself is up to 19 songs at this point. I went over, I reckon it was, 11 songs in the first video. And since then, I've added from 12 to 19, as you can see. So 12 was Bob Marley, or is Bob Marley, Crazy Ballad. And that was a song that Lennox Lewis would use coming into the ring for most of his fights. There were a few fights where he used a different song. I think one of them, he used the James Brown song, might have been the Hasim Rahman rematch. And there was one where he used a dancehall song at Bashment. But for the most part, he used Crazy Ballad by Bob Marley. So that definitely makes the list. Kaiser Chiefs, I Predict a Riot is used by Josh Warrington. And I think that's a very good track for him. The Harder They Come by Jimmy Cliff was used by Razor Ruddock for a lot of his fights. And it's very appropriate for boxing because the chorus goes, the harder they come, the harder they fall. So yeah, good one there. And it also talks about the come up. That's basically what the song's about a guy coming up in the world and taking all the challenges and defeating them. Next one is Stormzy Shut Up. And I did mention in the previous video that I'd probably add it because the track was used for AJ against Dylan White and it captured the spirit at the time. It also captured AJ's spirit at the time, AJ's mindset and mentality. And we haven't really seen that version of AJ since. He tried to bring it back a little bit for the Usyk rematch, but it weren't quite the same. And I'm not talking about AJ's fighting ability. I'm talking about his attitude, his mindset. Next one, Roy Jones Can't Be Touched. Now, funny enough, a friend of mine who watches my videos actually messaged me and he said, nah, you're hating on the Roy Jones song Can't Be Touched. That needs to be on the list. And there was a bunch of other people in the comments saying Roy Jones Can't Be Touched needs to be on the list. Here's the thing. It's not a great song, for one. The only reason I've ended up putting it on the list is because Roy Jones was a great fighter. And whenever you hear the song, you do think of Roy Jones. But the song itself, I guess the chorus is all right. My friend who also doesn't like this particular collective, No Limit, he said it reminds him of a No Limit song. I guess he wanted it to be on the list for the fun factor, right? But I said, no, the song's, it's kind of cheesy. Well, you know it's a corny kind of song. That's why he related it to No Limit. I don't believe it's on No Limit at all. I think it was on Roy Jones's record label or whatever. But yeah, it has that kind of vibe about it. So I don't think the song, in terms of the bars, are very good. Particularly the two other rappers that are on there other than Roy Jones. If it was just Roy Jones rapping about his boxing, then I think I probably like the song a bit more. But the other two guys are on there just waffling. Their flows are not very good and they're just waffling, you know? So to me, it's not an amazing song, but it reminds me of Roy Jones every time I hear it for obvious reasons. So it's made the list. So those of you guys, those of you who are suggesting it, there you go. You managed to get it on. You managed to persuade me. The next one is Blue Moon. This is by Supra. And there are loads of different versions of Blue Moon. But this version is the one that Ricky Hatton used for much of his career. And again, Ricky Hatton was a big Man City fan, still is, I'm sure. Used to come in wearing the Man City colors. So it meant a lot to him as a fighter. And it means a lot to Ricky Hatton's fans. So for that reason, Blue Moon makes the list. The next one is Mama Said Knock You Out by LL Cool J. A number of fighters have used that over the years. And I can't remember specifically off the top of my head one of them, but there's several of you that mentioned fights and fighters that have used this song before. So Mama Said Knock You Out. And obviously it's one of the most appropriate songs in terms of the theme for the list. And finally, number 19 currently, and I will keep adding to the list, number 19 is The Good, the Bad and the Ugly theme from that movie. that was used by David Price. I can't remember which fight it was. It might have been, I hope it weren't a Tony Thompson rematch. Because that ended in very ugly fashion for Mr. Price. But yeah, I remember him using it. And I remember liking the fact that he used it at the time. You know, it's all about gunslingers and stuff like that. And you can relate that to boxing in a sort of way. So that's the list as it stands right now. The other tracks on there, make sure that before you ask me to add a song to the list, you've actually looked at the songs that are already on the list. Because I've been through the first 11 in the first video and then the rest of them in this video. So before you start suggesting songs that are already on the list, make sure you actually look at the list. Yeah, because there's loads on there. Like there were several people saying that, which one was it now? McFadden and Whitehead, Ain't No Stopping Us Now. People were suggesting that when it was already on the list. Dangerous by Cornroy Smith. People were suggesting that when it was already on the list. I think a couple people suggested AC/DC Back in Black when it's already on the list. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get to some of your responses, or some of your suggestions, should I say. Big Juggernaut. Big Juggernaut. I think that's probably going to have to go on the list. It isn't a great song, but again, it reminds us of Joe Joyce because it was written for him. I believe the rapper is called Eyes. He's actually from Brixton. And it's kind of a funny song. It makes me laugh every time I hear it. You know, and maybe that suits Joe Joyce because he is kind of a fun character. So yeah, I'll probably have to put Big Juggernaut on the list. And the more successful Joe Joyce becomes, if he becomes more successful than he has already, then that song is going to gain more traction. People are going to think about it more and like it more if it's associated with certain epic nights. Okay, this person says Comeback Kid and Explorers from the Midnight. I'd have to go look those songs up. This guy says most epic for me was Fury versus Klitschko. Have a Talk with Jesus by Randy Travis. I'll have to look that up too. This guy says a lot of people making requests for DMX and Tupac. DMX and Tupac are not going to make the list. There is no DMX song. There is no Tupac song that for me personally gets me hyped for a fight. They're not epic enough. There's somebody, I'm not sure whether we'll actually see them in this video because there's a lot of comments by this point, but it was somebody who suggested Power by Kanye West. Now, I'm not aware of any fighters using that song, but if they do, and it's a significant fighter, that's going to have to go on the list because that is an epic song. That has the feel of a ring walk song. And obviously, power is something we talk about in boxing, punching power. So, yeah, that's definitely a song that could make it. And of course, Kanye West has at least one song on my list, All of the Lights, which was used by Kell Brook, which is a great ring walk song. A lot of people feel that's actually the best. That's their favorite ring walk song is All of the Lights. So yeah, Kanye has got some epic songs out there. And I'm not sitting here telling you that Kanye is a better rapper than whoever. I'm just telling you that as a song, his tracks tend to work better, or some of his tracks tend to work better for ring walk music, in my view, and for my taste. Let's look at a few other suggestions. Kasabian Fire. Okay, this guy says George Groves came out to it before Spitfire. Okay, didn't realize that. I'll have to check that out too. This guy says Craig Richards Bounty Killer. I actually replied and said, I swear it weren't Bounty Killer that Craig Richards came out to. I swear it was Capleton Slew Them. Yeah, it was one of my favorite ever dancehall tracks. Slew Them. I'm surprised they allowed him to play it. Did they play the censored version? I don't know, but yeah, Slew Them is a wicked track and it's relevant to boxing. But the thing is, only Craig Richards has used it. So can I really call it a classic ring walk song? I would love to put it on the list because I love the track. It's relevant to boxing, but only Spider's ever used it. I think we need a fighter of a higher caliber. You know, someone who's fought in for world championships and stuff like that. A box office fighter or someone just, as I say, fought at a higher level in bigger events to use it, and then I can put it on the list. But yeah, I love Capleton Slew Them, one of my favorite ever tracks. Again, people talking about DMX. That did do nothing for me. When Mike Tyson started coming out to DMX and Tupac, that was like the end of his career. Do you know what I mean? So I don't see his use of those tracks as something epic or special, because he was using them tracks and then he came out and looked rubbish or took a beating. Do you know what I mean? Nah, it don't work for me. All that stuff when Mike Tyson was hanging around with Crocodile and all these other guys and, you know, these rappers and whatever, that was the part of Mike Tyson's career when he was going downhill. And so I always associate those tracks, the Tupacs and DMX and all that, with him going downhill. And, you know, the music that he used for the Michael Spinks fight, if you can call it music, it was noise. That would have a better chance of getting on the list than Tupac or DMX, personally, because at least that was evocative, for me anyway. It was a lot more evocative than Tupac or DMX, and that was Mike Tyson in his prime. So, and I can't find that track anywhere anyway. You can obviously find the ring walk for the Michael Spinks fight, but in terms of a clear version of that track without all the crowd noise by itself, can't find it. Don't know what it's called. It's some kind of avant-garde track. I've seen some people suggest which artist it could be, but I haven't managed to find the actual piece of music. So moving on. Yeah, several people have suggested Free From Desire. Tyson Fury used that for at least one of his fights. Again, how's it relevant to boxing? And how's it relevant to Fury himself? Return of the Mac is a track I might consider because, you know, Fury was coming back when he used that track. I guess he used it for, did he use it for the first Wilder fight? Return of the Mac, you know, you can kind of relate it to Fury's journey. So maybe I'll put that on the list, but Free From Desire, nah. Even though people like it and I'm not dissing the song, I just don't think it's particularly relevant. Now, lots of people have mentioned Prince Nassim, Nas. Here Comes the Hotstepper. I remember when he used that track. And Prince Nassim used to like funky house because for a lot of his ring walks, he would play funky house tracks. And, well, Here Comes the Hotstepper is not a funky house, but there were other tracks that he played that were funky house tracks. So I remember the kind of music he used to use. Here Comes the Hotstepper was one of them. Does it make it? Is it really a classic? I'll probably put it on. It's not one of my favorite tracks personally. It doesn't get me particularly hyped. It's more of a joke tune than anything. When I say joke tune, I mean, it makes me laugh more than anything. Do you know what I mean? I'm not dissing the tune necessarily, but it just, yeah, doesn't get me hyped. It makes me laugh. So what else here? Welcome to the Terra Dome. I'd sooner put Public Enemy on the list than DMX. And look, I like DMX, but again, for ring walk music, it just doesn't do it for me. But yeah, I would sooner put Public Enemy on the list than DMX or Tupac, personally. Okay, this guy says, Dylan needs some yard music. That song is rubbish. Still Dre, a late 80s baby classic. Philistine. All right. Mori Kanti, Yeke Yeke. I love that song. The original. And again, Prince Nassim used a remix version of it, which is what I commented here, what I replied with. Prince Nassim used a remix. It was a house remix of Yeke Yeke by Mori Kanti. But yeah, I absolutely love that track. I listen to that track pretty regularly, to be honest. That's on my playlist. Not the fighting boxing playlist, but my personal playlist, you know, when I listen to music. So, you know, the house version, could I put that on there because Prince Nassim used it? Maybe not. Again, all right, definitely got to put it in there. Crazy by Patsy Cline for Fury Wilder 2. I don't know. It's just a weird song to me. It didn't really do anything for me. It didn't. When I say weird song, a weird song for a fight, it didn't really do anything for me. I get it. Tyson Fury is supposed to be crazy, so he's coming out to this song, but nah, I'm not going to put that on the list. Okay, this guy says Woodkid. Iron would be an epic entrance song. I have to check that out. Let's see what else here. Okay, this guy's talking about Blue Moon. That's already on the list. What else is here? Lee Selby, Big L, Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous. Again, that just don't work as a ring entrance song for me. Yeah, it's novel. For people who are hip-hop fans and they like Big L, and Big L was a great rapper, it's like a novelty, you know, having somebody come out to that song, but it doesn't really work as a ring walk song for me. It's not epic enough. Okay, this guy's saying Eminem and Exhibit My Name. Which fighter uses that? Okay, this guy's saying he doesn't like modern ring walks in general. There was somebody who left a comment. Maybe we'll find a comment here, which I found a really interesting one. Really interesting comment, actually. What else we got here? This guy says James Brown the Boss. Yeah, it works very well. But which fighter has used James Brown the Boss? That's a song I also listen to fairly regularly. Paid the cost to be the boss. Yeah. Obviously, that was sampled by Nas, the rapper, right? What song was it that he sampled that he that he used that sample for? I forget which song it was now. What else we got? Dave in the Fire, Kanye, Jay-Z, Rihanna, Run This Town. 3-6 Mafia, it's a fight. Oh my gosh. 3-6 Mafia. 3-6. Oh God. Not sure if anyone used it, but it's in a Rocky film. Eye of the Tiger. I can't imagine ever listening to a 3-6 Mafia song all the way through. It's that awful. All right. This guy also suggesting Jay-Z and Rihanna Run This Town. Okay, 50 Cent patiently waiting. Yeah, we're not talking about what people would personally use themselves. We're talking about what's going to be the most appropriate for the list, which are classic ring walk songs. This guy says Sweet Caroline. Yeah, but Sweet Caroline is not a ring walk song. It's like a get the crowd in a cheery, happy mood before the main event song. Now that is a great suggestion. Apollo Creed, Living in America, because of the Rocky connotations. But who has used it? Did Tyson Fury use it for maybe the Tom Schwartz fight when he was on his Yankee Doodle vibe, when he was trying to appeal to the American audience to an absurd extent? He might have used Living in America. And that is a great James Brown song for one. And again, because of the association with Rocky, I think it would be great if somebody did use that. So if you guys can tell me someone like a major fighter in a major fight that used that song, then perhaps I'll put it on the list. It's definitely a great song. What else we got here? Big Payback. Yep, talked about that. Lennox Lewis, Crazy Ballad. Yep. Somebody here says U6 entrance music is a Cossack battle song. Prince the Seam. Maybe I still have to listen to U6 entrance music, but if I like the sound of it, I'll put it on. Again, a few people suggesting Red Rat, That Girl Shelly Ann, because Prince the Seam used it against Kevin Kelly. But again, it's just like, that's some comedy thing. I don't really see how that's an epic, classic ring walk song, at least not for me, not my definition of what classic is. It's like some comedy business. All right. More Tyson Furies, Ricky Hatton, Blue Moon. Best ring walk ever to Men in Black. So this guy's saying that Prince the Seam used Men in Black. Who? Was it Kevin Kelly or was it Prince the Seam that used that? Because somebody's saying Prince the Seam used a different song, That Girl Shelly Ann. Yeah, this guy talking about Bisping. Riddick Bowe used Born in the USA for the Gallotta rematch. Yeah, and that didn't go well for him. Like, see, this guy talking about Tyson's ring walk against Spinks. He said nothing beats Tyson's ring walk to Spinks. Again, but it's all subjective. You're saying that nothing beats it. Okay, according to you, by your taste and by your experience, music is very subjective. So it's not even a matter of disagreeing. It's just, whatever your taste is. And this guy, I mean, he's really going into it, how intense that ring walk was. I didn't find it that deep, to be honest. It was some weird avant-garde music. And at the time, I can understand the impact because everybody was coming out to funk and James Brown and all this type of stuff and a few Rocky songs. And Mike Tyson comes in with this weird avant-garde music that sounds like something out of the film Alien. It just sounds weird. And that unnerved Michael Spinks and it added to the atmosphere at the time. But I saw that version of Tyson and I saw Tyson deteriorating, lose to Buster Douglas and come back and then lose again. So I see things like that in context rather than just seeing it as a standalone situation. So maybe that has influenced the fact that I don't really see it as that intimidating or whatever. But one thing I definitely concur with what this guy says. He said, I like the massive entourages and police protection and chaos that was needed to get fighters to the ring. Now it's too staged and performative, and many fighters come to the ring on their own, smiling and shaking hands, which ain't scary at all. So this guy obviously likes horror movies. He must feel like Tyson's entrance against Spinks was the closest thing he's ever seen in boxing to a horror movie. So yeah, but I get what you're saying about the massive entourages and the police protection and all that. There was like this feeling of chaos. It did feel more, I don't know how to describe it, but it felt more like a cauldron. It felt more primal back in the days when they had these huge entourages and the fighter had to walk through a sea of people. Do you know what I mean? It did feel more primal, and I'll come on to primal feelings a little bit later on, but I definitely like what you said there with regards to that. And there's obviously reasons why they've lessened the size of the entourages and they've introduced more security and they've given the fighters more space to walk to the ring. There's obviously good reasons for this, but I 100% understand what you're saying there. It did make it feel more primal. What else we got here? Glenn Johnson, Solid as a Rock by Sizzler. I mean, I like the song, but is it a classic? Did Glenn Johnson ever get to the level? I know he held a title and all that, but did he ever get to the level where a song that he used would be deemed a classic? Let's see here. Yeah, Kanye West Power, this guy suggests it. Yep, Tina Turner, of course, that's already on the list. Triple G, Seven Nations Army. And there's a few people that mention Seven Nation Army. And it's, for those of you who don't know, the bass line is what people hum Oh Anthony Joshua to, or Oh Derek Chisora. Oh Derek Chisora. That's the song. Is that classic ring walk music? I don't know. It's hype the crowd up music like Sweet Caroline, but is it classic ring walk music? Now, here's another hip hop tune that might actually make it. Might make it. When Mayweather came out to Meek Mill, I'm a Boss. That might make it because Mayweather was at the top of his game, and that song makes sense for Mayweather. Do you know what I mean? Because he was a boss. Say what you want to say about him, and I've said plenty about him, but he was a boss. He was a boss. And that was a very, very relevant song for him. And the chorus is catchy, and when Mayweather's coming out with his swag and all that, I'm a boss. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll put that on the list. Rick Ross, I'm a boss. Yep, I'm going to have to put that on the list. David Price walking out to YMCA will always be legendary. Did David Price come out to YMCA? Now, here's a suggestion. Somebody, again, I have to listen to Povetkin's music. I haven't heard it yet. But here's a suggestion that I really like in terms of a fighter using this, because I don't know of a fighter ever using it. But this guy suggests the song from Gangs of New York, the intro track. And I've always liked that song. The song is called Shimmy She Wobble. In fact, I got it up here. This is the track from Gangs of New York that the guy's talking about. Shimmy She Wobble by Arthur Turner and the Rising Star Fife and Drum Band. And it's used at the start of the film Gangs of New York for this massive fight scene. And it's like the ultimate drums of war. That's the way I could describe it. The ultimate drums of war. Love the drumming. It's basically just a drum, drums and a flute. And, well, a fife, which is a kind of, I guess, simple type of flute, or woodwind instrument, however you want to describe it. And yeah, it just works really well. It's very primal, very evocative. It taps into those primal instincts. And it was a great choice by Martin Scorsese to use that for that opening battle scene. So yeah, fantastic. I love that track. And it just sounds perfect for boxing. You know, if you put that on when a fighter's going to come to the ring and he's got his entourage with him, it's just so primal. It's so evocative of like the old times and, you know what I mean? The 1700s or something, the 1600s. I know Gangs of New York is set in the 1800s, but this goes even further back than that. It has that kind of vibe, you know? War drums. So yeah, definitely love that track. Loved it ever since I watched the film. Anyway, back to the suggestions. This guy says Mick Conlon's are always good. I'm not sure I've heard Mick Conlon's. Inoue doing the Kill Bill thing was class with the live guitarist. Okay, Inoue with Kill Bill. I guess that's Bang Bang, I Shot You Down, Bang Bang. I guess that's the song you're talking about. Wilder's entrance for the second Fury fight. I can't remember what song he used. That's what somebody's suggesting here. More Mike Tyson Spinks, more Prince the Seam. Lennox Lewis Crazy Ballad, that's on there. AC/DC TNT. Louis Ritson. Okay, I'm not sure what he's used. More DMX suggestions. Prince the Seam, Michael Jackson Thriller on Halloween night. Probably not. Yeah, more DMX, Usyk, Apollo Creed, of course. George Grove Spitfire is a great track for a ring entrance. Great track. When Groves march, like he comes storming out, him and his entourage are almost running to the ring. In fact, I did like Tyson Fury's entrance for the Dillian Whyte fight. For me, that was Tyson Fury's greatest ever entrance. Forget where he's on the throne for the Wilder rematch. I liked the Dillian Whyte entrance where him and his guys ran to the ring. I can't even remember what track they were using, but I just like the fact that they ran to the ring. Enzo Macronelli. When Bruno used to come out to Big Ben, I don't remember Bruno coming out to Big Ben. That was Nigel Benn that came out to Big Ben. And as somebody else mentioned, that was a real, you know, goose pimple, do you know what I mean? Goosebump moment, like when ding, 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 when the Big Ben chimes and then Nigel Benn would come out. Yeah, that was wicked. when Nigel Benn used to do the Big Ben chimes. Wicked. This guy says, also, I thought Ain't No Stopping Us Now was a Holyfield song. Well, I'm not aware of Holyfield using it. Maybe he has used it, but what I can tell you is Larry Holmes used it for years, and David Hay used it for most of his career. So if Holyfield used it as well, I mean, it's not a Holyfield song per se. He would just be one of the fighters that have used it. Okay, this guy says Carl Froch also used Welcome to the Jungle. He used Morning Glory by Oasis for the first Groves fight. I don't see how that's relevant to boxing or frotch. Arturo Gatti, Thunderstruck. Yeah, that works because of his nickname. Thunderstruck, yeah. What else we got here? I'm going to skip a few. More Roy Jones. Okay, this guy says Michael Watson used Mama Said Knock You Out for Eubank too. And yeah, ironic and tragic the way that ended, but still, that's somebody who did use it and it's already on the list. Okay. Tom Petty, I Won't Back Down. I have to listen to that. What else here? Ricky Hatton, Blue Moon. Yeah, we got that. Bob Marley, Crazy Boy. All right, I'm not going to be here all night because there's loads and loads of comments. But anyway, yeah, that's what's on the list at the moment. So make sure when you reply this time around that you've actually looked at the list to see what's already on it. So you're not suggesting things that are already there. And yeah, I'll keep adding to it. Catch you guys on the next video. If you're tired of the biased narratives and mass censorship on mainstream platforms, and you want to be part of a community of critical thinkers who love free speech just as much as you do, then come and join me on Patreon and access my weekly no-holds-barred, censorship-free podcast where we lift the lid on a wide variety of controversial topics. It's not mainstream friendly, it's not politically correct, but that's the whole point. We dare to stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. Just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called Hatman Hot Topics. You'll gain access to a minimum of 2 hours of exclusive content every single week, including podcasts, videos, interviews, live stream Q&As, as well as my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. Not to mention a vast back catalog of hundreds of hours of previous episodes. You can listen via the Patreon app with the option to download in high-quality MP3. We've also got an Element group where you can come and chat and hang out with myself and other members. Unlike Discord, it has full end-to-end encryption, it's decentralized, and it's 100% censorship-free. You can also send voice notes as well as much larger audio and video files than you can on Discord. So come and sign up on Patreon. There's no contract, there's no commitment, you can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a cup of coffee. So I'll see you over there. I'm out.